My walks home from school aren't what I remember them being when I was growing up in Bushwick. Today, I get off the train and it feels as if I'm elsewhere. Somewhere that doesn't feel like home to me. Maybe because everything I used to see is no longer there, and everyone I used to see has now vanished. My name is Daisy. My parents migrated here in 1985 and stayed here in Bushwick ever since. They had my sister and I, so we both share similar memories. Bushwick is the only home that I have memories of. Memories like building snowmen with my father outside the building I grew up in. People playing dominoes in the summertime. Block parties and fire hydrants being opened. That was like the beach to us. And Maria Hernandez Park, where I spent most of my childhood in. I fear that one day I won't remember these great memories so vividly like I do now, because change is happening so rapidly.
Bushwick is now becoming what I would call an epicenter of gentrification in New York City. We're seeing some of the highest rates of displacement, and we're seeing a lot of local residents dealing with significant harassment from their landlords because there is such an incentive to, to evict or make it as uncomfortable as possible to get these people to leave, to raise rents, and often sometimes to even flip buildings, demolish them, and have luxury buildings put in their place.
It wasn't until I started to hear what longtime residents in Bushwick were experiencing that I realized the changes that are happening are a bigger problem than I thought of. It drove me to pick up my camera and document my story alongside with others from the neighborhood.
When I first moved there, I remember I was hanging out on my step, and a police car drove by, and they stopped and they came up to me, and I was like, oh shit, like what did I do? Like what am I doing? Is everything okay? And they were really nice. They just came and like, oh, do you live here? It's like, yeah, I just moved in. And they're like, okay, well, we want you to know that like there's crime in this neighborhood, and just be vigilant, and if you ever need anything, you can call us. And I was just like, okay. And then somebody in the neighborhood was just like, that's new. Like, that is so new. Nobody ever has stopped, like police stopping and say to us, like, we got you, we're watching you, that's for you. And so it definitely made me feel like, okay, this is really complicated.
Sáqueme un platito ya así como.
Ya voy. Yo me llamo María Pérez. Yo vivo ya aquí en este sector como unos 18 años. Mi trabajo es trabajar aquí en la calle. Antes trabajaba en factoría, pero ya mucho tiempo trabajo aquí vendiendo. Ese es mi trabajo. Yo trabajo mucho tiempo vendiendo y me gusta vender. La verdadmente yo vivo mucho tiempo ahí. Han vendido las casas, pero donde yo vivo no han vendido. Ahí siempre han entrado los blancos. Están ahora puros judíos en este sector. Más antes había mucho hispano aquí, se vendía bien, pero ahorita no, se ha cambiado, porque estamos solamente gente blanca nomás por aquí.
¿Y cómo le ha afectado eso a usted?
Bastante, mami, bastante, porque el negocio se bajó, y como es la gente blanca no comen, se fueron gente hispana lejos. El señor de aquí, viera. Y yo a él no me molesto. Él mucho me molestaba, me insultaba, me llevó, me metió una tijera que con esto te voy a asesinar. Yo le llevé a la corte.
¿El qué era?
Él va a blanco mismo y él le llevaron preso y dijeron que totalmente aquí no tiene que acercar él a mí. Pero de ahí salió, me pidió disculpas, que nunca va a volver a molestar, que ya no me va a estar molestando, que tú trabajas nomás ahí. Así bien. Gracias a Dios ahorita no me dice nada. Y aquí al frente este es lo que no quiere que pare aquí, porque le hago humo a la casa. Este señor, de ahí no. Más no. La gente blanca solo no comen, eso es.
Los de la cultura.
Sí, no comen.
My name is John Marquez. I've been living in Bushwick 61 years. All my life. So DeKalb Avenue, I've been there 41 years. And it was good there. I've gone through about 5 or 6 different owners. The new owners now are trying to renovate the building all over Bushwick. They're trying to buy me out, but I'm not offering because no place like home. So me and my wife, we moved here. I raised 11 grandchildren here, 5 children. We have all these years been good. We had the freedom of the street and everything, but now it's changing rapidly because everybody's coming from everywhere to a lower rent district. So far, I had a good life here. And I plan on staying in Bushwick till time to go meet the maker.
Hi, my name is Jackie Torres. My friends and everyone here knows me as Poison. Wow, I've basically been coming to this park since I was 15. I am 63 years old now. I used to live on Melrose. My landlord decided to take all of us out. Okay, the rents went sky high. At that time, I lived with my husband. He was paying less than $800. The landlord stooped it up to $3,000 and something. So I got kicked out into the street. My husband had to go elsewhere because where he's at, they didn't want my dog. So even though he's a service dog, still I had to go to the shelter with my dog. I'm still in the shelter.
How do you feel about the people who are coming to reside, the new people that are coming to reside in Bushwick now? Does it make you feel some type of way? Does it?
No, you can't feel anything because, you know, I mean, that's part of life. You know, the landlords are the one that is choosing that. The landlords are the ones that are choosing to take out all the Spanish and the black people out. And they're the ones that are making it a white neighborhood. So there's nothing else to say about that except to hopefully find a place to live and move on. It's the landlord. Society. It's not the people's fault. It's the landlord's fault. But like I said, I'm still in the shelter, going through it because I can't find a place that I could afford. And not even in Bushwick. Can't afford it. So until God blesses, there's nothing else I could do.
As a law stand, if you are a rent stabilized tenant, your rent can only go up a couple percent a year, give or take. If you are a landlord who has that apartment and you displace that tenant, you could then raise that rent up to 20%. And so you can see there's a lot of math that kind of encourages displacement. And so displacement isn't just tenants, but also businesses, right? So like there's like an ecosystem of like a community. So the community is not just the people who live there, there's all the people who work there and kind of the businesses and services that kind of make living there feasible.
The best thing about Bushwick, because this is the main park. This is the main park. You could come here, you know, you could have picnics on the grass. You could come in here with your dogs, though you can't bring the food in there, but you know, you could play baseball, basketball, volleyball, skate, whatever floats your boat. But the main issue at hand is that the rent is increasingly high. And you don't see Spanish people here anymore. They're taking us out. Regardless if you're Mexican, Dominican, Panamanian, whatever, you're Spanish, you're out. They only want white people. And I know because my landlord now that took us out, saying that he was selling the apartment, or rather he was selling the building, he still owns it and everybody inside now is white. So I don't know what else to say. I look at the pretty poo-poo. They get to sit down, they get to enjoy themselves in the park. They get to put the poo-poo in the garbage. But if you look around very, very closely, everybody that's here is white. No Puerto Rican, just me. kind of bad, right? Go ahead, papi, go to the park.
People tend to come to neighborhoods like Bushwick, a neighborhood that is becoming very colorful and attractive, but may not know or realize that behind all these great things they see, someone who's lived here all their life is being displaced or harassed to leave. I'll constantly hear about what's new in Bushwick, like the bars, coffee shops, vintage stores, and the Bushwick Collective, who has artists from all around the world paint murals in Bushwick. The Bushwick Collective also happens to do tours in the neighborhood of the Outdoor Street Gallery.
Bushwick is the center for art. And it's a center for art, and especially down towards Flushing, there are quite a few different art spaces. And we've seen that, art is often a, kind of like a sign or a red sign that, your neighborhood is gentrifying, when artists who are not from the community, just to make sure that we've always had artists in our neighborhoods, but people who move from outside of our neighborhoods come in for their studios or for to live here, and then create this kind of new vision for the neighborhood, often to the opposition or to the exclusion of people who live here. That's often a tool that enables gentrification.
Back in the day, graffiti, you would get arrested, it was looked down upon, now you have all these studios, these art studios, these galleries, just advertisement on, the Bushwick artists. It's just, even, events that they do, living in Bushwick, I never feel welcome to those events. They're specifically to, the art population, the hipsters, you think I know, this art, parties or events going on probably down the block on Wyckoff, living on DeKalb, a block away. I'm not welcome. I'm excluded from those events. Just even the murals, I never see murals of the African American population, the Hispanic population in Bushwick, in my neighborhood. It shouldn't be a European woman on those murals in Bushwick. It should be the culture that was here before, that's continuing here, I just don't see even this population, our culture, represented in these specific murals that are being advertised. So yeah, definitely the culture and us being excluded from that culture.
Artists aren't necessarily the people who are at fault, but there's certainly a enabling of these processes that kind of enable displacement, enable community change that isn't necessarily helpful and is often harmful in the increase of police presence or the decrease of culturally relevant services that are available in this area. And I think we have to be very clear when we have artists in our communities that try to take up space. What is their intention? Are they trying to support or are they trying to destroy?
I'm an artist myself, using my art as a platform to give people in Bushwick and myself the voice we feel we don't have.
You can't have one side of the community that kind of disdains or kind of doesn't necessarily respect the other side of the community and think that you're going to have peace and that you're going to have prosperity. And so I think the success of our signs with Mi Casa No Su Casa is really speaking to the large immigrant community that's here that often feel like no one is speaking for them.
New people coming to Bushwick doesn't necessarily bother me. Bushwick is a home for everyone, and that's what makes it so special. But I do believe that new residents should understand that the neighborhood they're stepping into has already created its urban space. If longtime residents receive more respect towards the spaces they've already created and were rallied more by the art community in Bushwick, then maybe people like myself and others in the neighborhood wouldn't feel like we're not at home. I know one day I'll be leaving Bushwick eventually. And if there's one thing I can bring with me forever from Bushwick, it's this film.